Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So this is Mental Health Talk with me, Christina McIntyre. I hope y'all had a great week. I hope that y'all learned some lessons along the way. If it wasn't a great week, let's not worry about this week. Today is a new day, a fresh start. Let's leave whatever happened behind and let's focus on the future, right? Follow me on Instagram at Become Your C, Facebook BYC Become Your C, YouTube. Follow and subscribe BYC Become Your C. Stay up to date on all the podcasts and also on TikTok at Become Your C. My website is going through the motions right now, so I don't have one available, but stay tuned. I'm trying to do things a little bit different this year. If you're interested in learning about the holistic approach to mental health, you can always message me as well. I use the chakra system. Chakras are energies in our bodies to help me in my everyday life. So if you're interested in something different, you can message me. We can have a conversation. If you just need to talk to somebody about what you're going through with mental health, you can always message me as well. Also, if you ever feeling suicidal, let that not be a last option. You can call the suicide hotline at 1-800-273-8255 or visit them on suicidepreventionlifeline.org. You're supposed to be here, you have purpose, and I want you to be able to live your full life at its full capacity. So let's try to figure out some new strategies in order for us to be able to thrive and still live even though we have mental health issues. I know sometimes in life things seem like they're so heavy, and I believe that there's lessons always to be learned in life. And so when we learn those lessons, we can progress forward, right? We can't move forward if we don't fix what's going on now. Mental health issues is not something that we can control. It's biological, it's chemical, it's environmental. It's also, for me, spiritual. And so we need to figure out a way to combat it so that it doesn't take over in our life, so that we can live the best quality life that we can. Always do things every day to try to push yourself forward, right? I say come up with a plan, a small plan that you are able to accomplish some goals each and every day. I know sometimes with mental health illness, every day is not the same, and sometimes it's hard to accomplish goals, but having this plan helps you accomplish some goals, right? For me, I have many goals every day, and then I give myself like 2 to 3 bigger goals to accomplish each day, and I make sure that I accomplish them. That way I don't get overwhelmed, right? When you put stuff off, then one day you are tackling it and then it becomes overwhelming. So be kind to yourself, know yourself, and set up a plan that will help you succeed, right? And so on those days where you're not feeling so great, you don't have to worry about it as much because you already pushed yourself. And then if you accomplish those 3 major goals and you can do more and you're in the mental space to do more, keep moving forward, right? Every day we should be doing something to help us better. Even if some of those days it seems too hard to press forward, just do something. Even taking a walk, listening to music, because mental health is real, and the longer that you sit in it, the worse it can be for you. So you have to fight for yourself each and every day, even on those days that you don't want to fight. So I'm going to start my topic for this week. So this week is, how does having mental health illness affect our ability to work, right? Some people can function highly dealing with mental health illness. Some people need aid. Some people can't work at all, right? So doing remote work would be beneficial to them. But knowing there are laws in place to protect you if you are suffering from mental health illness, and there is ways that you can still thrive and function in a work environment dealing with mental health illness. You have to know yourself, you got to know your status, and you have to know the protocol in order to continue to work in an environment, right? So I'm going to throw some numbers out here for you. 1 in 5 people suffer from mental health illness each year, about 45 million people. According to the CDC, depression is a common disorder that affects people's work and disability. 20% is physical, right? The depression causes physical symptoms, and 35% affects cognitive. Because when you're depressed, it affects not just your mind, but your body as well. Your body starts to break down, your immune system shuts down, you can get sick more often, and that will affect your ability to work. If you're not at work, you can't perform properly. Also, if you're not mentally there, right? If you're depressed, maybe you don't want to be around people. Maybe you're moving slower than usual because of the depression. So there's a lot of factors that fall into this. 57% of people report moderate depression. So there's times in our life where some of us may be depressed, right? And that's common. You have to know your laws. You got to know what you can do if you ever are faced with something. Because sometimes things happen in our life that can throw us in depression, death, loss of finances, mental issues could go haywire. Maybe you're trying medication, it's not, your body is rejecting it. So there's a lot of different reasons why having mental health can affect your ability to work, right? How does it affect your ability to work? Okay, your job performance and productivity, right? When you're dealing with mental health issues, if you're having a breakdown, you're going to move slower at work. You're not going to be able to accomplish tasks. You're not going to be able to work well with others, right? Again, engagement with one's work. You're not going to be focused on the task. You may do it, but you're not doing it to the best of your ability because, like, let's say you're suffering from panic and anxiety. You're trying to get through that attack. So you're going to be focused on breathing. You're going to be focused on trying to get, maybe you have to run to the bathroom to get yourself together. So it takes you away from being able to perform. Communication with others. If you're going through an episode, your ability to communicate, because sometimes people can be a trigger for your mental health illness as well. And so you won't be able to relate to other people. Certain jobs require you to be able to work well together as a team. So having a mental health illness, depending on which one you have, may not work in that work environment. Physical capability and daily function. So sometimes mental health illness can affect you physically, right? If you're going through a depressed state or bipolar, you don't feel as strong as you usually do. You're not able to lift things maybe at your job, or you can't multitask. That's going to affect your ability to work, and even day-to-day function at home as well. If you're going through an episode, your house may not get clean, you may not shower as often as you would like, you may eat or overeat because of it. There's a lot of factors that play into this, right? And this will lead me to the next point. Do they have laws to protect people with mental health disorders? Yes, they do. There are a couple, which I didn't know. I knew one of them, but there is a couple of laws in place to help you, right? So the ADA, which is the Americans with Disability Act, it protects people who have physical and mental disorders. However, it is your responsibility as a person dealing with these disorders to be responsible for your actions. So you do have a mental health disorder. It's your responsibility to put a plan in place, right? Protect you and protect your work environment. So you have to know yourself. Let's say some people that have bipolar and schizophrenia, and they may snap out. So you're responsible for the actions that come out of that. Even though you have the illness and something that you can't control, you still have to be accountable for your actions after that. This is why it's important to know yourself, know what you can and cannot tolerate. They have jobs, I'm going to go into a little bit that cater to people with certain mental health disorders. So you have to know yourself, get a plan in place, and do your research. It's something called The ACT, ACT, is Assertive Community Treatment. This is for people with serious mental health illness. They have a strategic plan, right, in place. They provide you with treatments, integration into a job that fits you, help you with job placement and employment, and also have a specialist in place. Maybe someone you can call when you're having a breakdown, right? Or they have certain jobs that is specific for people with mental health disorders. So they have these people in place already in case something arises while you're in a work environment. They also have these places called clubhouses that offer support and employment programs, education also, and job perspectives for people that suffer from mental health. So there are jobs that you can, depending on your disability, that can help you. You have to do your research also. So people with mental health disorder, they also have something called supportive employment, right? It's an individual placement and support. So they have a plan in place. So your job knows that you have this plan. So that's why it's important to communicate. No, you don't have to disclose your mental health status with your employer, but also you're not going to be protected from the law as well if you don't know. They can't ask you questions about it, but if you want, like, if you disclose that in the beginning and they know it and they still hire you, you are protected by law. But it also gives you an opportunity to create a plan in place, right? Let's say you have a couple episodes a month. Well, it'll be a plan in place already, so when that arises, they can't fire you because of this, because they already knew beforehand. Employers cannot legally verify your illness unless otherwise written. So everything is about documentation, right? If you put yourself out there, some jobs do ask you on applications whether you have a disability or not, and I do believe that mental health illness is on there now, so you can check it if you feel the need to, or during the interview process you can disclose because sometimes let's say you have panic and anxiety, it can come and go. It may not affect your ability to work, but if you want to be protected long term or down the road, it's important that you have a written document from your psychiatrist or doctor to set this plan in motion in case something arises where maybe you need to be out for a week due to an episode. You'll have something to protect you. Without the written documentation, there's nothing to protect you. Is your word against you. You can also have written documentation for yourself. And even though employers request it, they can request from you a note from your doctor verifying your illness. So if you want to be protected, you have to have your documentation. Company policies are different from job to job. So some may respect you, still hire you with your mental health status, and some may not. They may see you as what's the word I'm looking for? They may see you as a burden instead of a helper, so they may not hire you. But there are also discrimination laws that can protect you as well. If an employer says specifically that they're not going to hire you because you have mental health illness, you can fight that. You just have to know your laws. You have to know the policies. It's going to take a lot of research on your part, especially if you're suffering and you're trying to get out in the workforce, right? The best thing that we can do for ourselves to make our life as normal as possible. And sometimes I urge people to push themselves beyond their boundaries a little bit, and not too much that it sets something off. But sometimes when we start to do things and it becomes routine, it's better for our mental health status. But also know yourself, know what your boundaries are, and push it a little bit so that you can see what you're capable of. A lot of times dealing with mental health illness, we live in fear. And so it's important to know that, yes, we have fears, but we can also we can also fight those fears, right? So that we can live the life that they want. Let's say you want to work with people, right? You want to work with children or senior citizens, but you fear people, right? So you have to push yourself a little bit each day, not doing a full like run for it because you don't want to set yourself back. But sometimes we have to put ourselves in places to help us grow, right? So how does working affect people with mental health disorders? It actually can increase anxiety, depression, panic attacks. Just like I said before, right? If you don't like to be around people, working with people can actually be a trigger. And also, toxic work environments can be a trigger. Let's say you do work somewhere, right? We all have to work, we need income, but the environment is toxic. And so they're a trigger for you, right? So what's the best solution is to find another job. But sometimes it's hard, so you might have to stick it out a little bit. But knowing your status, maybe you can, if it's a great job, maybe you can talk to your manager or your boss and say, hey, can I work in a different department where it's less chaos, right? People, right? Our environment affects our mental health status. Everything around us does. And so it's important that we thrive in environments that's going to help us grow. Yes, sometimes we may have to remain somewhere temporary because we have to do what we have to do. But always keep looking for something better, something that is going to help you thrive and improve your quality of life. And toxic work environments can definitely be detrimental to someone's health. I have worked in a few toxic work environments, and let me tell you, it does matter, right? A couple of jobs I used to have, I was fine, and then the work week began, and when I was driving there, I would have extreme panic anxiety driving my way there, having a panic and anxiety while I'm there because of the people, right? Some people just have toxic energy, and that energy can spew off into you. So know yourself, right? And yes, we have to work, but also don't feel like just because you have this job now that you have to remain there too long. If it's not working for you, continue to look for something better. Yes, it may take a while. I know, like right now, they say the job market is open, but from what I've heard from people, it's really hard. They're making it difficult. But know that you don't have to remain where you are forever, right? It's just a stepping stone. Don't let no one take you away from your goals, but knowing that it's something in place to help protect you while you are dealing with your mental health illness. And make sure you protect yourself as well. Make sure that you get the help that you need, especially with these resources out there. Talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist, know the laws, right? And knowing what you can and cannot tolerate. If you know you can't tolerate loud noises, maybe working at home is a beneficial to you, right? Working in small groups may be beneficial to you. They do have job opportunities like that, right? Working can also increase job insecurity, fear. You may fear that you're not be able to perform the best at your ability, or you may feel like your boss or your coworkers feel like you're not giving your all, right? Lack of balance between work and home. Let's say you're working a lot because bills got to get paid, and you're struggling trying to make ends meet, but it's affecting your home life, right? Your home life is, I'm not saying work life is not important, but home life is where you're gonna get your most support from. So trying to balance that between a toxic work environment can create chaos for you internally, and then you can be overworked. Being overworked, especially you see people posting a lot about jobs that overwork them and not paying them and not appreciating the person they are. That can affect your mental health as well. When you feel undervalued and unappreciated, it will make you it'll affect your self-confidence, and so you don't see your ability to grow and to thrive, and you feel like you're not worthless. You'll feel worthless. So you don't want to be in an environment like that because it's definitely going to affect you long term, right? The more that you stay in a toxic environment, it does havoc on your mental health, right? You'll start doing things. Maybe you'll overeat, undereat, start having substance abuse problems because of this. So know that something can be temporary, but it doesn't have to be forever. Knowing and trying to put yourself in a position where you can grow and then you can mature and you can thrive. We don't want to stay in places where it's going to affect us long term. What can employers do to assist people with mental health illness? So if you're an employer and you know that you have people that are dealing with mental health illness, they should be communicating with you, but you also should communicate with them as well. A great boss, a great manager cares about their people. Now, I know a lot of jobs, it does not seem like that. There's plenty of jobs that it does not seem like that. They just about the business, which is you're supposed to be. But at the end of the day, though, your workers are what make your business successful, and you want to make sure that they're okay. Businesses that have great workers is a reflection of that boss and that manager. You want to make sure your employees are okay, because when your employees are okay, right? If you're checking in with your employees regularly, they're going to work harder to make your business a success. When you put value and time and dedication and commitment into your employees, they will thrive. And when they thrive, then you come out better on top. So it's important that you communicate with them. Have programs and policies in place, right? So if you're an employer, make it known to your workers that, yeah, here goes some policies that can help you if you're affected for any way. Social support, right? No, you can't be someone's therapist, but let them know, or again, have the resources available to them to let them know that, like, hey, we know what you're going through, but here go a list of numbers or a list of places you can go to help. Incentives for healthy behavior. And this is important for people with disabilities, physical disabilities as well. You get them incentive, like, for their great behavior, right? It's just like a child. We want children to behave properly, so you give them incentive, like, hey, I'm gonna get you good for 2 weeks, I'll give you this. So it's the same way in a work environment. You, like, certain jobs, be like, hey, you reach these numbers and we can have a party or something like that. So making your employees feel safe in their work environment can help them thrive as well, and track their progress, help them. This should be worked with them. Also, the employer and employee should be working hand in hand, especially if that is a great employee, right? They're successful and you enjoy your work environment. You want to work hand in hand with your employer. A lot of times, things don't happen is because we fail to communicate properly. So make sure that you communicate and the employer communicate as well. And make sure these policies are set in place. Every job should have a safe place where people that are suffering, they can go, or if they can't talk to you, have the resources available. A lot of times these jobs put so much pressure and stress on us to be these perfect, I say, working in robotics, life cannot function like that. When you get overworked, it affects your mental health, and you can't thrive anywhere else in your life. The more toxic the work environment is, the more it's going to affect you at home and other areas in your life. And you want to make sure that, yes, you're working, you need to provide, but that does not come home with you. And that is very difficult, especially when you have to work all the time. So making sure that your work environment is an environment that can actually enhance you and doesn't put too much on you, so that it does affect your other areas of your life. What can you do to ensure that you're protected? Knowing who to contact. Get things in writing. Document any discrimination, right? You can be reasonably accommodated. So some of the laws that I had, the ADA, the American Disability Act, also the ACT, Assertive Community Treatment Plan, also, and then IP, the Individual Placement Support. Knowing that you have these laws that protect you can help you thrive in a work environment, but you got to know it yourself. You have to do your research. You have to reach out. This is all about communication. Even though, yeah, I know sometimes I don't like to talk to people on the phone, but in order to function properly in society, you have to communicate at some point. Even if you're afraid of people, just do something every day. That's why it's important to, if you're suffering from mental health illness, to get evaluated, get the help that you need. It's okay to reach out and get help. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to be able to thrive as much as possible in this life. We're only here for a limited amount of time, and we want to be able to live our life to the best of our abilities, right? And to thrive and to just live, like not just exist. You know, a lot of times we work and we take care of things. We come in a robotic routine. We want to live, we want to work, but we want to enjoy our life as well. Know your rights. You can still work while having mental health illness. You need to have a plan in place. That plan in place is important because it's going to help you to be able to find what you need, right? Again, take advantage of these opportunities that's out there, right? If you know that, hey, you have bipolar and schizophrenic and you only can work a few days a week before you have an episode, then make a plan out for that. Talk to your therapist, but everything has to be documented. If it's nothing documented, there's no proof, right? Make sure you get everything down on paper. Make sure that your therapist also documented so that you can communicate with your employer about what your needs and wants needs are, and if they can accommodate that. Like, say maybe you can't work 40 hours a week, maybe you can work 20 hours a week, and during these certain times you have to create a life in which you can thrive for. And yes, it's not always about you, but this is creating a life which you can thrive for. But also know that sometimes people may not be accommodating to that. And that's why it's important to do your research and find something that works for you. And maybe working overnight may be beneficial to you, because a lot of stores are closed overnight and you don't have to still come in contact, especially if you're not a people person like that, but you need money to survive. That might be beneficial to you, right? Knowing yourself can help you thrive in the work environment. And again, we all have to take jobs sometimes that are toxic, right? We don't realize it's toxic until we start working in them. But know yourself, know what you bring to the table, and know that sometimes things is only temporary, right? Maybe you have to work at this job temporarily to get you to where you need that. Try to figure out what you enjoy, what you like, and then try to find a job that works around that, right? We all have unique gifts and abilities, and there's a whole world out there for us to explore. Finding a job that fits you may take time. I don't think I found one job, but it was a toxic environment, so I had to pull myself out there. But that's not the end of my story, and that's not the end of your story, right? You have to work, or you can take another route and try to create a business for yourself. But that requires, again, a commitment. It requires documentation. It requires being able to communicate with people. We can't thrive in this world without communication with people, right? But I believe that when we do things with good intent, things will come back to us. But we have to make sure that we are doing our part as well. People are out there to help us, but we have to be willing to help ourselves. You can thrive in any environment you want to, but sometimes you have to make sure that you're picking the right environment. Environment affects our mental health, right? Everything affects us, everything around us, and we have to make sure that we know that, because we can't control what goes on out in the world. We only can control ourselves and what goes on the inside, and we want to make sure that we are protected. There's no cure for mental health illness, right? They have medications to try to alleviate some of the pain. They have therapy. They have, like, people use religion. I use the holistic approach. There's no cure. Even though I practice doing my chakras and my holistic approach, I still have panic and anxiety every day. But what I've learned, how they teach me, is that it pushes me to think outside of the box. It pushes me to look at my issues and forces me to make some type of change and evolve. And so even with medication, it's a trial and error. You have to try something till it fits, but you still may experience some episodes. So knowing that there is no cure, but we still have to function in society, you have to have a plan for yourself. Again, every day will not be the same. It can't be, right? We can't predict tomorrow. We can't even predict an hour from now. So you got to take it as it comes. That's why it's important to have a plan in place, a plan for everything, plan for your work. Do this today, right? I always talk about meditation. So meditate today. If you never have, go on YouTube. Meditation is just closing your eyes, go into a quiet place within. YouTube helps because it kind of directs you in the beginning of how to do it. And ask yourself, what do you want to do in life? Like, especially job-wise, what do you want to do? And self-reflect. Write down your good qualities and your bad qualities. We all have good and bad qualities, right? And what job will fit that? And then if you do need accommodations, right? You have a therapist, reach out to your therapist. Like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and this. Could you help me? And then you map out a plan. And you start setting those goals. That's why it's important whether you can set work goals or individual home goals. But that's why it's important to set these small goals every day to help you reach to where you want to get to. You want to save money. You have to start somewhere. You can't say, hey, I want $10,000 saved and have no job to get there. So you have to start from the beginning. Having a plan will set everything else in motion. You think it, you feel it, you believe it. Write it down, and now you can see it. And after you see it, you apply it, right? And that means that you start setting the goals and going to it. Set many goals to help you achieve that larger goal each day, right? Even if it's something simple as like, hey, I got to go pay this, clean this, do that. There are many goals. And then you set some larger goals to help enhance your abilities, right? We all have special abilities, unique abilities about us that can improve our quality of life, our personal life, and also our work, how we choose to work. Do that for yourself because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be able to thrive in an environment. We can't control the environment. It is what it is. It's going to be in constant motion and changing. We have to be able to learn how to live in an environment that we have. And then if we can change the environment around us, that's great. But we can't control everything. So we don't know how we don't know what curveballs life will throw us. So we have to be able to still function even when those curveballs comes our way. That's as much as I have for you today. I just wanted to give you some information knowing that you can work and still have mental health illness and you can function in society. You just have to know the laws and you have to know yourself and you have to be able to communicate effectively and clearly. And that is about your throat chakra. If you want to learn more about the chakras and the holistic approach, message me. I'm open to having a conversation to help you on your way. I can't make a plan for you, but I can just offer some information because everybody's journey is for themselves, and you have to come up with a plan that works for you. And this is what I learned when I went to therapy, is that the therapist is not there to tell you what you need to do with your life. They're there to help you figure it out for yourself. And so if you ever need to talk to someone about having a breakdown, you can always message me. Well, if you're interested in, I still have bracelets and necklaces that help as an aid to having mental health. They have those chakras on there. You can infuse them with essential oils. I have crystal necklaces and bracelets as well as beaded keychains also. You can message me if you need one of those as well. I'm just here to help you on your journey towards self-discovery and whatever that means. Remember that we all are here for a reason. We all have special and unique gifts, and we all deserve to be here. We got purpose, and we need to be able to experience what full living feels like, and knowing who you are and your value in this world, and knowing that you're worthy will put you in places that you've never been. But you have to believe that. You got to work hard, you got to be committed, and you got to be consistent each and every day and fight for yourself, right? Mental health illness is not going anywhere. So we literally have to fight for ourselves each and every day. But I guarantee you, it's worth it at the end. It doesn't seem like it some days. Some days it seems heavy. But I guarantee you keep pushing. And that pot of gold is going to be at that rainbow. So till next time, I want y'all to, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Become Your C, TikTok, Become Your C, Facebook and YouTube, BYC, Become Your C. Follow and subscribe. Stay up to date on all my podcasts. And I hope that you have the best day you can. Remember, meditate today, write those goals. Think it, feel it, see it, believe it, write it down, and then go do it, right? Fall in love with yourself so the world can fall in love with you. Till next time.